Hello everybody, this is Rabbi Wagshel, and this is going to be a lesson on the vav hipuch, the reversing vav. Vav hipuch. That means the reversing vav. Now, what is a reversing vav? And when do we find the need for this reversing vav? So let's give a little look at this worksheet, okay? We have a little worksheet over here that we're going to look at. First of all, let's take a little lesson in the English language over here, okay? So we have in English some words. These are called verbs, okay? A verb means an action. Play, shopped, walk, ran, called, okay? Now, some of these words are present, that means they're being done right now, and some of them are being done in the past, shopped, right? Who would like to come up over here and circle, let's just do it in a color red, circle a word that happened already. One of these words. Yes, Gal, come over here and circle with your finger one of the words that happened already. Called. Very good, Gal. Called happened already. Anybody else? Benji, circle for us one of the words that happened already. Awesome. Okay, and what else, Zohar? Ran. Very good. Now, how did you know? Raise your hand if you want to tell me how you guys knew that those words were in the past. I mean, how do you know one word's in the past, one word's in the present? Yes, Daniel. Okay.
You can tell by the ed.
Ed. Okay. But very good, Daniel. Because at the end of some of these words there is a suffix ed, or a different way of writing it. Instead of run, it's ran. In English, that's how you tell if a word is in the past. Now, how do we do that in Hebrew? How do we make a word in the past in Hebrew? Well, there is a special way that this is done in Lashon HaKodesh. Lashon HaKodesh means the holy language that is found in the Torah. We don't use it so much in modern Hebrew in conversation, but it's very common in the Torah. And that is, let's look over here, in Lashon HaKodesh, especially in Chumash, there are two ways to recognize a verb, that means an action in the past tense. The most common way found in the Chumash is when you see va. That means a vav before a word, right? Not in the middle of a word, it means before a word as a prefix. The va, when added to the future tense of the word, changes it to the past tense. That means that the action happened in the past. Right. For example, a word like vayomer. The last three letters, right? Aleph, Mem, Resh is the shoresh of the word that means to say, right? The yud is the prefix that tells that it is a zachar. What's a zachar?
Remember?
Well, that's another word for that's zachor. What's a zachar? Yeah?
Girl.
Opposite of a girl?
A boy.
A male. A zachar is a male. And it's guf shlishi, that means the third person, right? You're speaking not about you, not about someone you're talking to, you're speaking about someone else. That's guf shlishi. In the future. So yomar means he will say. But if you add a va yomer, is it he will say anymore? No. What happens to the saying? When is the saying done? Yes, Benji? So, right. So what does vayomer mean?
It'll mean he said.
He said, right? Vayomer, he said, or some translated and he said. Okay? So this is the vav hipuch, the reversing vav. Now, in modern Hebrew, sometimes, most of the time we don't use that. We use the letters Tehimon are suffixes. When these letters come at the end of a word, we'll have different times we'll explain that. I don't want to confuse the skill now, but if you put these letters like you said, amarta, that would mean you said. Amra, she said, right? In the past. Those are different examples. Also sometimes zachaf, right? In there. Anyway, when you see in the Torah a va in front of a word, that means it is reversing that word to the past. So to summarize, there are two rules. Okay, the first rule that you need, raise your hand to tell me. Here's a vav. If I see, let's say, a vav, okay, that looks like, if I see a vav in front of a word, let's say, vayishlach. Okay? Vayishlach. How can I tell me rule number one to know if this is a reversing vav. Rule number one. What's special about the vav? Who knows? What does the vav have to have? Yes, Zohar? Patach, right. Can you draw patach with your finger under the vav? Va. So it's vayishlach. Okay? So if it was a viv, for example, would that be a reversing vav? No. That just means, what does viv mean? And. Viv means and. If it's va with the patach, that means it's a reversing vav. And the second thing, obviously, is that the word itself, right, has to be what type of a word for this to work? Yes?
A shoresh.
Has to be a shoresh. What type of a word is a shoresh?
Root word.
It's a root word. What type of root? What type of word? Describing what? Describing a thing, a person, an action. What type of word is it? Evan? An action. Very good, Evan. It has to be an action. Like shalach is to send. So, vayishlach is now and he?
Said.
And he sent in the past. Very good. Okay? Thank you very much for watching. You now know two rules. Rule number one, that it has to be a va. And rule number two, that it's a verb. It's an action. And that means that it is a vav. Vav, a reversing vav, which is called the vav hahi puch. Vav hahi puch. Thank you for watching.